So I'm joined today with Lloydminster MLA Colleen Young. Colleen, thanks again for taking some time to talk with me today.
You're welcome.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about the year that was and looking forward. My first question for you was just in January and February of 2020, what was the outlook for the year like, and what were some of the priorities that you were hoping to accomplish at the beginning of this year?
Well, as we all know, the year started out pretty positive and life as usual. But by March, I think we all knew that, there was a virus spreading and there was going to be some challenges within our healthcare system. And we had started a spring session, which is usually a 10-week session, introduced a portion of our budget very quickly, but then the legislature was shut down. As we all know, we went into a lockdown in order to be able to ensure that our healthcare system and our healthcare workers were able to handle what we perceived was coming.
And especially here in Alberta and Saskatchewan, at the same time that the pandemic hit, the price of oil also fell dramatically. Can you just talk a little bit about the challenges of having a health pandemic and also one of the big industries in Saskatchewan being impacted as well?
Well, absolutely. And it wasn't just the pandemic. I think we've been seeing for the last 5 years a drastic drop in oil production, a drop in getting our product to market, and a drop in those prices. And it has not just to do with the pandemic. The pandemic added to the struggles that industry is having to lay off people. But I think more so it's to do with our restrictions by our federal government, not being able to get our product to Tidewater through pipelines that have never been approved by the federal government, and all the changes they have made over the last number of years to the regulations through the National Energy Regulator have been frustrating to that industry. And I think that more so in the price wars that have been going on internationally have affected our industry that is so valuable to our economy and to the people of this province for jobs and a livelihood. And I think the pandemic just topped that off. And it has been a very big struggle. But kudos to Saskatchewan government for rolling out the ACECAP program, the Accelerated Site Closure Program, which has been beneficial to this area. Besides Estevan area and Kindersley area, we've seen the second largest amount of work as well as dollars going into this area. And now the second launch of those that 400 million that was sent out to the Western provinces is coming to an end, and there will be another rollout coming in the new year.
This year for you was also dominated by a provincial election campaign. During the campaign, when you were hitting the doors, what were you hearing was the concerns of people in the Lloydminster riding?
Well, as just talking about oil and gas, but jobs in general. It has been a frustrating time, and the pandemic because of the closures, did have people being laid off and out of work. But I must say, Saskatchewan, we did still have 87% of our workforce employed. We were the only province that was able to keep most of our doors open. And those that chose to shut down because for their own reasons. But people were able to still work. But jobs were still on many people's minds, as well as the mental health that goes along with that was a big thing as well.
Also, so in this election, this was your second general election, third election overall. Each time you've won decisively. What's it like to be able to win with such a strong mandate from the people here in the Lloydminster constituency?
Well, it's humbling to know that my constituents place that much trust and faith in me to be their voice and to be their advocate. And to me, that's very humbling. And I'm honored to be able to do that. Getting out to the doors is really key. And I know that the pandemic had us on hold for some time, but once mid-July came and we were given the go-ahead, I put on a lot of miles and knocked a lot of doors throughout this constituency. As many people may or may not know, my constituency goes as far as Pierceland, So, almost a 2-hour drive north. And I was up there about 3 times. All the small rural communities around Hillman, Paradise Hill, Green Street, Marshall is part of my constituency. And then all of the Saskatchewan side of Lloydminster. So I got to every poll, maybe not quite at every door, particularly in the rural areas. And I wish I could have, but the time frame limited me to get to where I needed to. And of course, not being able to host coffee parties or attend events, as we all know, it's been a bit of a challenge as well. So, and we are social creatures and we want to do that and shake hands, but that limited me to some extent. But it was still great to get out and meet people. They were anxious to talk, share their concerns and things that are going on, and give me some ideas as to things that they would like to see happen within the constituency.
And I know in the last tail end of this year, the Saskatchewan Party government has been enacting some of the platform policies that you guys ran on. But looking forward into 2021, what are some other things that you guys have on the radar, and also for you in particularly here in the Lloydminster constituency? What are some things that you would hope to accomplish in 2021 or hope to work towards?
Well, I think, as you probably are aware, that we were able to pass the first two bills and get royal assent to them. The one being the new home renovation tax credit, as well as the small business tax credit as well. So we were able to do that, and to do the SAS power bill reduction of 10%, and the reduced ambulance costs for seniors. We reinstated that community rink affordability program, which I think will be really great for communities, especially in our rural areas of the province, to allow people to get out and enjoy some time. Our strong recovery adaptation rebate, as well as the extension on the small business payment. Implementing the rest of our election promises will be key moving forward into the new year. We made some promises to the people of Saskatchewan, and we plan on keeping those promises and making sure that any bills and anything that we need to introduce will go forward. We only sat for a very short 2 weeks here recently, just returned home on Friday. It was a short session, a very different session, as most would know, masks and clear shields in front of our desks. So, and only a certain number of people allowed in the assembly at the same time. But had the opportunity to introduce a throne speech, a very strong throne speech, which will keep our promises to the people, as well as ensure that this government is accountable and gets us back to balance when we say we are going to. And I think those are really important for when we move forward into the new year.
I think the job of an elected official is always challenging, but I think especially in around the Lloydminster area, there's some extra challenges and kind of hurdles that you need to deal with. Can you just talk a little bit about collaboration during the past year? I know I was at the announcement of funding for Holy Rosary and also the comp. Can you just talk a little bit about what it's like, having to work with Garth Rosewell and also just Mayor Albers and dealing with the bi-provincial nature of this city?
Yeah, well, actually, I just had a meeting with Mayor Albers yesterday, and we went through a list of things that we want to work together on and accomplish, and not just within our city. We have surrounding RM partners that are looking to supporting their residents and their taxpayers, and that takes some work and collaboration with the city as well. So we have a number of things. There's healthcare has always been a big one, and I heard that at the door as well. There are still some challenges that we are seeing with our ambulance services, with our memorandum of understanding is still not signed and in place, and that's something that we need to collaborate with Alberta on and ensure that we are receiving the funding that provides the best quality healthcare for our citizens. So that is a big piece of what we need to work on moving forward. But there are other things. Rural connectivity is still a challenge in this area, but I do know that since CITL has been partnering with Bell and TELUS and Rogers to move away from the Huawei 5G towers and into working with Ericsson and some other providers to see if we can do a better job, particularly in our northern areas of the province, into providing some better cell phone and internet connectivity. And particularly now, when we all know that this pandemic has created some challenges for our schools and working online from home. And I know even parents who've had to work at home with their children online as well as creating, some bandwidth challenges in their household. So that's something that SaskTel is working strongly with them. And hopefully coming into the new year, we're going to see some bigger improvements. I know this is something that is happening very slowly, but they've also been working in our community on bringing the fiber optics to Lloydminster.
All right. Well, Colleen Young, thank you for taking some time to talk with me today. It was great to hear some of the things you're working towards in the coming year.